When a breakthrough medicine is developed, most people immediately think of pharmaceutical companies. But behind many of the world's medical innovations, there's another company quietly working in the background. A company that doesn't sell medicine to patients, doesn't operate hospitals, and whose name is rarely recognized by the public. Yet its technologies help scientists study diseases, develop new therapies, and manufacture medicines used by millions of people around the world. Its name is Danaher. And today, we're going to explore how a company that operates almost entirely behind the scenes has become one of the most important businesses in modern healthcare. Unlike many well-known companies, Danaher was never built to serve everyday consumers. Its customers are research laboratories, pharmaceutical companies, biotechnology firms, hospitals, and academic institutions. Instead of producing products that sit on store shelves, Danaher provides the highly specialized instruments, technologies, and consumables that scientists rely on every day. These tools are used to analyze DNA, study proteins, diagnose diseases, and manufacture complex biologic medicines. Because its products are designed for professionals rather than consumers, Danaher can have a massive impact on global healthcare without becoming a household name. In many ways, its business model resembles an infrastructure company. It doesn't create the final product that reaches patients. It provides the essential tools that make those medical breakthroughs possible in the first place. At its core, Danaher is a science and technology company that provides the essential tools used throughout the healthcare industry. Its technologies support nearly every stage of the process, from scientific research and disease detection to the large-scale production of advanced therapies. Researchers use its instruments to study genes, proteins, and cells at a molecular level. Hospitals and laboratories rely on its diagnostic systems to identify diseases more quickly and accurately. And pharmaceutical companies use its technologies to manufacture complex biologic medicines that are increasingly shaping the future of healthcare. These activities may seem unrelated at first, but they are all connected by a single purpose: enabling scientists and healthcare professionals to move discoveries from the laboratory to real-world treatments. Rather than depending on the success of any single drug, Danaher benefits from the continuous growth of medical innovation itself. Developing a new medicine is an incredibly long and complex process. Before a treatment can reach a patient, it often takes years of research, testing, and manufacturing. Scientists first need to understand the biology behind a disease and identify potential targets for treatment. Promising candidates then move through multiple stages of laboratory testing and clinical validation. Once a therapy proves to be effective, it must be manufactured at an extremely high standard before it can be distributed to healthcare providers around the world. Every step requires precision, consistency, and enormous amounts of data. This is where Danaher becomes deeply embedded in the process. Its technologies help researchers generate insights, enable laboratories to analyze critical information, and support manufacturers in producing therapies at a commercial scale. Instead of relying on a single breakthrough, Danaher participates in an entire ecosystem where thousands of scientific projects are constantly moving forward. As long as medical innovation continues, the need for these capabilities is likely to remain essential. Modern medicine begins with understanding how life works at its most fundamental level. Before researchers can develop new treatments, they first need to understand what is happening inside the human body and why diseases occur in the first place. This process requires enormous amounts of precise and reliable data. Researchers must examine biological systems at a microscopic scale, identify patterns, and transform complex information into actionable insights. As scientific questions become more sophisticated, the tools needed to answer them become increasingly important. This has led to a growing demand for advanced technologies that can improve speed, accuracy, and reproducibility. Over time, these capabilities have become an essential foundation for many of the discoveries shaping the future of healthcare. For Danaher, life sciences represents an opportunity to participate in an area where scientific complexity continues to increase year after year. While scientific research focuses on discovering new insights, diagnostics is about making timely and accurate decisions in real-world healthcare settings. Every day, millions of laboratory tests are performed to detect infections, monitor chronic conditions, and guide treatment plans. Speed matters, but accuracy matters even more. A delayed or incorrect result can affect the decisions that physicians make and ultimately influence patient outcomes. This is why healthcare systems depend on highly reliable diagnostic platforms that can process large volumes of samples with consistency and precision. As populations age and chronic diseases become more common, the demand for diagnostic testing continues to increase. At the same time, hospitals and laboratories are under pressure to deliver results faster while maintaining strict quality standards. This creates a long-term need for advanced diagnostic technologies that can improve efficiency without compromising reliability. For Danaher, diagnostics is not simply about running tests. It is about providing the infrastructure that helps healthcare professionals make better decisions every single day. Creating a breakthrough therapy is only part of the challenge. The next step is figuring out how to produce it safely, consistently, and at a scale large enough to reach patients around the world. This is where biotechnology becomes increasingly important. Many of today's most advanced treatments are biologic medicines, which are far more complex than traditional drugs. They are often derived from living cells and require highly controlled manufacturing environments. Even small variations in the production process can affect the quality of the final product. As a result, manufacturers depend on specialized systems that can maintain strict standards throughout every stage of production. This has become especially important as the industry moves toward newer forms of treatment, including monoclonal antibodies, cell therapies, and other next-generation biologics. These therapies represent one of the fastest-growing areas of healthcare, creating a significant long-term opportunity. For Danaher, biotechnology provides exposure to a market where scientific innovation and manufacturing expertise must work together to deliver therapies at a global scale. In 2020, Danaher made one of the most important acquisitions in its history by purchasing Cytiva in a deal valued at approximately $21 billion. The acquisition significantly expanded Danaher's presence in one of the fastest-growing areas of healthcare. More importantly, it strengthened the company's position across the entire bioprocessing value chain. Cytiva brought a portfolio of highly specialized technologies that are deeply embedded in the production workflows used by many of the world's leading pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies. By adding these capabilities, Danaher was able to broaden its reach and build stronger relationships with customers operating at a global scale. The timing of the acquisition also proved to be significant. Demand for advanced biologic therapies was accelerating, and the industry was investing heavily in expanding manufacturing capacity. Cytiva positioned Danaher to participate in this long-term trend while reinforcing its role in a rapidly evolving healthcare landscape. Today, many investors view Cytiva as one of the most transformative acquisitions the company has ever made, helping to shape the next chapter of Danaher's growth story. One of the biggest reasons behind Danaher's long-term success is something called the Danaher Business System, or DBS. Rather than being a single process, DBS is a company-wide operating philosophy that shapes how decisions are made, how teams work, and how businesses continuously improve over time. Its principles were heavily influenced by lean manufacturing practices that emphasize efficiency, problem-solving, and the elimination of unnecessary complexity. The objective is simple: make small improvements every day and repeat that process relentlessly. This approach extends far beyond factory operations. It influences product development, customer service, supply chain management, and even the way leaders are trained throughout the organization. Over time, these incremental improvements can compound into significant advantages. Perhaps more importantly, DBS creates a common language across the entire company. No matter how large Danaher becomes or how many businesses it acquires, every new organization is expected to adopt the same disciplined approach to execution. For many investors, DBS is not just a management framework. It is one of Danaher's most valuable strategic assets. Over the years, acquisitions have become one of Danaher's most powerful growth engines. But the company follows a disciplined formula rather than chasing size for its own sake. Danaher looks for businesses with strong technologies, durable market positions, and opportunities for long-term expansion. After an acquisition is completed, management focuses on strengthening operations, improving productivity, and creating a more scalable organization. Instead of treating acquisitions as standalone businesses, Danaher gradually turns them into part of a larger ecosystem. This approach allows knowledge, expertise, and best practices to spread across the entire company. The process has been repeated many times over several decades, creating a business model that is both adaptable and resilient. Rather than relying on a single breakthrough, Danaher continuously expands its capabilities through a series of carefully selected additions. That repeatable formula has become one of the key drivers behind the company's long-term growth story. One of Danaher's greatest strengths is that its customer relationships tend to last for many years. In highly regulated environments, reliability and consistency are often more important than finding the lowest price. Once a customer builds its operations around a specific platform, switching to another provider can become expensive, time-consuming, and operationally disruptive. New systems must be validated, employees need additional training, and existing workflows may need to be redesigned. Because of these challenges, customers are often reluctant to make changes unless there is a compelling reason to do so. Danaher also benefits from a broad portfolio that serves multiple customer needs under a single umbrella. This creates deeper relationships and allows the company to become more integrated into everyday operations. Over time, these factors create a durable competitive advantage that is difficult for competitors to replicate. Rather than depending on short-term market trends, Danaher has built a business that is designed to remain relevant for decades. And that is one of the defining characteristics of a strong economic moat. One of the reasons Danaher has built such a resilient business is that many of its products are not one-time purchases. The initial instrument is often only the beginning of a much longer relationship. Customers regularly need consumables, replacement components, reagents, and ongoing support services to keep their operations running efficiently. These recurring purchases create a steady stream of revenue that extends well beyond the original sale. This model also makes the business more predictable. Instead of relying entirely on new customer acquisitions, Danaher continues to generate demand from its existing customer base. As more instruments are installed around the world, the opportunity for recurring revenue naturally expands over time. This creates a powerful compounding effect. Every new customer has the potential to contribute not only today, but for many years into the future. For a company focused on long-term growth, that level of revenue visibility can become a significant advantage. Like many companies in the healthcare industry, Danaher experienced an unusual surge in demand during the pandemic years. As conditions normalized, some of that extraordinary demand naturally faded. At the same time, many biotechnology companies became more cautious with their spending, especially in a higher interest rate environment. Smaller firms faced tighter access to capital, leading them to delay certain investments and expansion plans. This created temporary pressure on parts of Danaher's business that had previously benefited from rapid industry growth. However, this slowdown does not necessarily indicate a weakening business model. The underlying drivers that support long-term healthcare innovation remain intact. Scientific research continues to advance, new therapies are still being developed, and healthcare systems around the world continue to invest in improving patient outcomes. For long-term investors, understanding the difference between a cyclical slowdown and a structural decline is extremely important. And many view the recent moderation in growth as part of a normal adjustment following an extraordinary period of demand. Several powerful trends are expected to shape the future of healthcare over the coming decades. The global population is getting older, chronic diseases are becoming more common, and demand for more personalized treatments continues to rise. At the same time, advances in areas such as genomics, precision medicine, and biologic therapies are transforming how diseases are understood and treated. These shifts are increasing the complexity of modern healthcare and raising the need for more sophisticated technologies. Healthcare systems are also generating larger amounts of data than ever before, creating opportunities for greater automation and improved efficiency across the industry. As scientific capabilities continue to advance, the infrastructure supporting those innovations will become increasingly important. This is where Danaher may continue to benefit over the long term. Rather than depending on a single product cycle or a specific treatment category, the company is positioned alongside some of the most enduring trends in global healthcare. And as those trends evolve, the demand for enabling technologies is likely to grow with them. Even high-quality companies are not immune to challenges. One of Danaher's key risks is its exposure to research and development spending across the healthcare industry. When customers become more cautious with their budgets, purchasing decisions can be delayed, affecting demand for certain products and services. The company also operates in a highly regulated environment where changes in policies, reimbursement systems, or compliance requirements can influence industry dynamics. Competition remains another factor to watch. Although Danaher holds strong positions in many of its markets, it still competes against several large global players that continuously invest in innovation and new technologies. In addition, acquisitions have long been an important part of Danaher's strategy. Successfully integrating new businesses requires discipline and execution, and maintaining that consistency becomes increasingly important as the company grows larger. These risks do not necessarily undermine the long-term investment thesis, but they do remind investors that sustainable growth is never guaranteed. Understanding both the strengths and the challenges is essential when evaluating any business for the long term. After understanding Danaher's business model, competitive advantages, and long-term opportunities, the next question becomes, what is a reasonable valuation for the company? Rather than relying on a single price target, I prefer to use three different scenarios. The conservative scenario suggests a valuation around $182 per share. This assumes slower growth and a more cautious market environment. The historical scenario points to a fair value of approximately $224 per share. This reflects a valuation that is more consistent with Danaher's long-term fundamentals and historical performance. The optimistic scenario reaches around $280 per share, assuming stronger growth and a more favorable market sentiment over time. Of course, valuation is not a prediction. It is simply a framework that helps us estimate what a business might be worth under different assumptions. Ultimately, the market will continue to fluctuate in the short term. But for long-term investors, understanding the quality of the business often matters more than trying to predict short-term price movements. For Danaher, the key question is not whether the stock will move tomorrow, but whether the company can continue compounding value over the next decade. And that is the perspective I prefer to focus on when evaluating businesses like this. As always, this video is not financial advice. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.